Welcome to the Pineapple Pinup Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about my very first participation play party. The first party I attended where I played, that needs to be stressed, where I actually played. I'd gone to parties in the past like a voyeur and led some people on, gave them the impression that I was down for more than I was. But when I attended the first party where I played, no one was led on. It started as they do, with a meet and greet. Several awkward adults dressed in a variety of sexy streetwear trying to find a place to set up camp. I'd chosen a corner of the couch in the second suite while my husband stood in the first suite and talked to the organizer. As the place began to fill, a young couple came in. We'll call them G and K. There was no place for both of them to sit down, so I scooted to the center, and G, a handsome young man, took the seat, and Kay, a lithe young dancer with gorgeous red hair, took a seat on his lap. She was thin and radiant, and we struck up a conversation. She was visiting from the West Coast, and he was a bit of a player. We chatted for a long time, and while we waited for the whole evening to get started. I had no concept of what was considered correct form, so I waited with everyone else. My husband wandered over and I introduced him to my new friends. G was hot in a Justin Long, adorably harmless kind of way. The more we chatted, the more attractive he became. He was into kink, being a dom. It was not hard to see why she'd flown across the country to be part of his kink life. Once the instructions were gone over, I stood up and headed to the first suite's bedroom. I pulled off my dress and stood there in my emerald green bra and panty set. The bra had this choker attached that had multiple straps that connected to the bra cups by tiny gold hooks. And the panties echoed the look with straps all over lace connecting with gold fastenings. There was abundance of pale flesh and green satin. I stood next to the bed and I tried to figure out how to move from cold and semi-naked to fully naked and being fucked. A man stood in the corner. My husband stood in the doorway, putting my clothes away in the closet. I looked at my husband, who was watching me with interest, then I gestured to the man. It was a simple finger gesture that was like a starting gun. He came close. Before I could blink, my bra was off, my panties were across the room, and there was a man with his tongue between my thighs. It was lightning quick, and that was all that it took. Soon, G and K were in the room and on the bed next to me. G's a white boy with a gorgeous cock. I sucked him and shared him with K. He tried to fuck me, but the condoms were causing issues. That is something that cannot be discounted. Condoms are a rough hang for some guys. Therefore, you got to roll with it. We're collecting bystanders. And then we're collecting cocks from behind. Kay and I on the bed, both ends of the spectrum. Young and slim, older and wider. It was a major eye-opener for me. I was getting approached just as much as this goddess was, and I was thriving. There's a line to get in the room to have a shot at fucking one or both of us, and I'm swallowing G while taking cocks from behind. Kay is swallowing a cock while taking one from behind. At one point, I'm off the bed, being fucked from behind while soaking the socks of the fuck hero dicking me down so hard. Eventually, I end up back on the bed, finger cuffing with G in my mouth again, and then the guy behind starts to attempt secret anal. Just FYI, there is no such thing as secret anal. If you think that in the middle of sex, a woman is not going to notice the penetration of her anus, well, you probably practiced necrophilia previously. So after convincing him that was not on the menu, the guy fucking K jumped off and the guy behind me tried to jump in. A major rule about parties is you change your condom between play partners. He tried to jump over onto K without using etiquette. G saw that and called a halt to the whole thing. Not long after, they decided to head out. G and K, that is. I was bummed because I was having a great time with them, and this walking party foul ruined it for all of us. We actually left soon after G and K. The vibe was just gone. That's the thing about the party. It's easy to kill a vibe, create a vibe, or enhance a vibe. So let's talk about ways that we enhance the vibe, create the vibe, and kill the vibe. So setting the vibe usually starts with the organizer. The organizer sets a theme for the party, and it is loosely adhered to at best. It's really just trying to be an advertising blurb to get the word out. Hey, we're having a St. Patrick's Day party because it's almost St. Patrick's Day. That kind of thing. So the theme of the party usually is something that is hit and miss with the crew. Occasionally there will be one that really sparks everyone's imagination. And I do have to say that back to school was one of those nights. Back to school theme, there were so many Catholic girls there, and it was mostly the women dress up in certain ways. Most of the guys just show up in hoodies and sweatpants. But I mean, it's the age-old thing that women try to attract. It's very important to do what makes you feel good, what makes you feel right in the moment, because you have to listen to yourself first. So if this evening is about sweatpants and flip-flops, then get it all the way. And if you're not feeling well, it's okay for you to say, you know what, I can't do it tonight. I'm out. I have done that on at least a couple of occasions. I did recently go to a party where the crowd was just too much. It was standing room only, and I felt so claustrophobic and so uncomfortable that I turned around and left. And that's on the party host. When you don't have enough space for your guests to even stand, let alone fuck, then you've basically overbooked your party and you've killed whatever vibe might have been, because now it's just like a mall at Christmas. Everybody's rushing around trying to find the thing that they're trying to do, and it's mayhem. And like malls at Christmas time, I tend to avoid that. So a vibe can be killed with your attitude as well. So if you are feeling poorly or you're upset about something, it's okay to bow out, because you will be affecting the other people at the party. It's just, and when a guy at the party is thirsty, as they say, pressuring you to do things that you're not necessarily wanting to do, first of all, consent is beautiful, and having consent from yourself as well as consent from the people and giving consent to the people around you, it's vitally important. The first person you got to check in with is yourself. And if you feel uncomfortable by what's going on, you got to call a halt to it. If you're trying to push your boundaries, that's one thing. And you got to be able to say red, yellow, stop, quit, no more, stop, slow down. I'm not ready for this. All of this is your responsibility, because nobody knows unless you tell them. All right. So here's the one thing that I will say to the gentlemen out there. You can be so perfect by just listening. So here's to the gentleman out there. When you are in a situation where a woman is naked and giving you consent and trying to go along so that everybody's having a good time, it is very important that you don't treat her like an afterthought, which is exactly what the gentleman did in my story about K and G. He was so busy thinking about getting inside of K, he didn't follow basic protocol. And that put it put K in danger. It put me in danger. It put both of us in a situation where we did not feel safe anymore. And it was time to go. That is the level of which this has to be. Let's try this without preaching. Be safe. Treat people with respect. Treat them like their safety and health and individual concerns matter to you. Listening and being communicative is so vitally important, especially in these moments when you are playing these fun and racy and kind of, let's be honest, dangerous games. You have to take responsibility for one another, especially when you're all in it together. So, if you're getting naked, do it respectfully. Play responsibly. Today we have a question from Jagged Life. He asked, what got you interested in kink? Well, like most people, my kink was born of trauma. And I tried to write my way out. And as I started writing, I started reading. And reading led to discovery and research of things that I realized made me incredibly turned on. So from reading, my writing got more graphic. My mind began to expand, and slowly but surely I developed a true handle on what I feel my kinks are. Most people do find that they fetishize their fear. So whatever it is that you are afraid of, you tend to turn into a fetish. So that being said, some of the things I'm afraid of are losing control, which is why my kink is to be submissive. Through practice and discovery, I have realized I will probably never be a true sub because I am entirely too irreverent. And so therefore I am labeled a brat, because while I would love to be submissive, I push back too much. So, AKA the brat. The kinks I have with my husband are very much something that we have come to together as a couple through discussion, through evaluation of what it is that we're trying to do. I cannot say enough about how much I love kink and the freedom that it provides me mentally, the ability to take it and use it to quell my anxiety. Being in control of a situation is amazing. So the reason that most people who have fetishes fetishize their fears is because your brain is trying to turn something you're afraid of into something you can control. And I gotta say, through a great deal of exploration, it's working. It takes the things that I was afraid of and puts them into a perspective I can understand, control, and let go of. So that is what got me into kink. Thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast, The Pineapple Pinup Hot Wife Life. If you would like to reach out to me, find out where you can read my writings, ask a question for the pod, please feel free to hit me up at pineapplepinuppod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Subscribe and share.